Alright, in my last video, I talked about using Babel Loader to compile my JavaScript. Now I'm going to basically walk through how to use the Sass Loader to compile my Sass files into CSS. So the same rules that I applied to have my projects pulled up. Oh, you don't want that to happen. All right, so the same rules that I applied with my JavaScript rules, I want to do the same thing for my Sass rules. So let's just walk through this again. So in my entry file, which is in the source folder, right? What we're saying is, hey, Webpack, when you execute, look at these files. One being my JavaScript file here, and then the other being my Sass files. So this framework that I'm using, Underscores, has a folder with all of my SCSS files, and I like to use .sass files because I really, it's a preference thing for me. I like using SASS because of the removal of brackets, and so I just use a lot of the indenting and tabbing instead because it looks a lot cleaner and it's readable for me. So I like to use that, and I'm going to show how you can account for those files also. But anyway, what I want to do is reference the Sass file, which will be the style.scss file, and this actually reference all of the other folders within here, so we keep those the same. We don't change that structure at all. So first I'm gonna add my rule, and because I want to address not only the SCSS but the SASS extensions also, so we add that. And then for my loaders, since we're going to be using the Sass loader, we also need to use a CSS loader. So that'll allow us to actually read compiled files on the front end. And the way it works as far as how loaders are executed, they go from right to left instead of left to right. So we want our Sass files to read in this order, where everything that's a Sass file will get compiled through with this loader first, and then everything here will get compiled from the CSS. So it goes from, it loads the CSS, it loads the Sass files first to read those files. Then it compiles down the CSS. Then it actually compiles all of the CSS that's read from the Sass loader. So there's other options here. I may not go through it in this video, but there are some additional options that you can add with each one of these loaders. But if we go through, let's see, and we want to reference the style.scss. And there could be areas in these folders where it needs to address things like fonts, and there are loaders for compiling fonts, but we're not going to do that in this video. We're just addressing any styles at this time. So let's go with sass and then style. And then we leave off the extension because this is a JavaScript file. And I'm sorry, we add the extension because it's not a JavaScript file. And if we build it, looks like we don't have our CSS loader added. Let's look at the package file to see. Package. Yes, it hasn't been loaded, so add CSS loader. Okay. So let's run a build. Huh. It's weird. I thought I loaded those packages. CSS loader. And I've also loaded Node Sass, which is a dependency that's needed to use the Sass loader, and it's a lot faster. So let's see. Let's go and build. Okay. So the build has happened, but we don't have a place to reference our styles because when we add that reference to our entry file, what it's doing is actually compiling all of our styles into our bundle file. And there are some cases in which we prefer this method, but for our WordPress site, what we want to do is separate this from our bundle. So what we need to do is use the plugin or the loader. Well, it's plugin. It's called Mini CSS Extract, and basically it just separates the CSS into a different directory. And so the way we want to use this, let me just make sure that it's been added to, it is, okay. So the way we want to do this is we want to instantiate the plugin. All right. And then we want to add it to our loader list. And what I like to do is add it. It's usually added in between here, between the Sass loader and the CSS loader. CSS.loader. And then we also want to add it into the plugins block. And basically what this is doing is telling Webpack to account for a plugin that we plan to use with this build. So In this case, we're going to use the mini CSS, right? And then we have some options. I think there's an option for the path in which we want to save this file. Let's see. The public path. I'm almost positive when I make this build, it should allow me to just build in the disk folder. So what I'll do is I'll just do style style.css. Okay, and let's try and build this and see what happens. Let's see, it failed. And what am I looking at? Unexpected token. Normalize. Aha. So it looks like it's not accounting for comments. Let's see. Whoa. We have more issues up here. So files not processed with these loaders. Unexpected token. Okay, so what I'll need to do is see. Put this onto this order and see what happens. Aha. So it's the way I had it ordered. Basically, it's taking the SAS, running the loader, and then running the CSS loader. So it should have put it in my disk folder here. So now we have all of our styles loaded. And in this case too, what we want to do, we can add different options to this actual loader, where we can minify this, which it is, but we can also add options to remove comments and so on and so on, right? So that's how we load in our style sheets into Webpack to get those pieces to compile. And let's run it again. So all right, so we're still running okay, and this also shows us the files that are being referenced within our entry file, which is the navigation, which I showed you in the last video, and then the root style sheet that we're referencing within the SAS folder. So that's how you load all of your style sheets using Webpack. In my next video, I'm going to just go through just some fine tuning so we can get started using our WordPress theme using this Webpack build. So see you next time. So if you like this content that I just shared, please subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and hit that notification button while you're at it, so you could actually be notified when I post my next video.